Hey there, internets. Nelson here with another quick tutorial. So this one is all about how to add a box shadow or drop shadow to your sticky nav bar as you scroll down. So it's going to look something like this. And so as you can see, the background color matches the nav bar's background color. And so when you scroll down, you'll see that drop shadow, that box shadow show up. Now, I did this for a client, and at first I was like, this is not possible inside of Webflow. I'm going to have to add custom code. And then I thought about it for a little bit more, and I was like, oh, wait, you can do it. So let me show you how. Let's go to my screen, and let's get started. So we have this nav bar right here. And if I scroll down, oh, wait, let me make it sticky or fixed. Let's make it sticky, and there we go. So as I scroll down, notice how I can't differentiate where the page is and where the nav bar is, okay? So I can if it's two different background colors, but when I get here, I can't. So let's add a drop shadow to that based on the scroll position, all right? So let's go ahead and do this. So what I'm gonna do is this nav bar, I'm gonna set it to fixed instead. Let's set it to fixed. And then inside of my nav bar, I'm going to add another div. And this div is going to go below the container, or above the container right here. And we're going to call this nav shadow. All right. So I'll call it nav shadow. And then if I go down to the box shadow right here, to the very bottom, I'm going to click on box shadow. And I'm going to set this to, let me see, 0. Let me try 0. And a distance, let me check it. Let me check. Oh, no, not 0. Yeah, 180. So I'm going to set it to an angle of 180, so it's pointing down. Leave the distance to 1. Let's make the blur 10. Keep the size 0, and set the black to something like, let's say 20 on the alpha, or opacity. All right? And I'm going to leave it like that. And lastly, we're going to set the position to absolute. So I'm going to set it to absolute and do a full. Okay. Now, if I preview, now you can see that drop shadow is there. Okay. So I'm just adding another div. And so the trick is when I pass this hero row, when I pass it, that's when I turn on the nav shadow div. And then when I get back to this hero row, that's when I turn it back off. All right, so now that we're set with our CSS and HTML, let's go ahead and add our interactions. Here we go. So for this hero row, selected on the hero row, I'm going to go to my interactions right here in the top right. Element trigger, let's go ahead and select scroll into view. When scrolled into view, start an animation. And we're going to set this to 20% on the offset. And we're going to create a new timed interaction. We're going to call this nav. So when I scroll into view, so nav shadow off. So this is when we're going to turn it off. Okay. And for the actions, I'm going to set this opacity. Whoops. I'm going to set the opacity to 0, but I don't want it to set the opacity to 0 to the hero section. I want it to set the opacity to the nav bar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click inside of this navigation and then right click on this action, change target, and then click on nav shadow. Okay, so that's me just changing this to point to the nav shadow. All right. Then I'm going to go down here and click on timing and set as initial state. All right. And then I'm going to duplicate this. So I'm going to right click on this and duplicate and set the easing at the bottom down here. Set the easing to ease. Cool. All right. So I've set the easing to ease and I'm going to save it. And for scroll out of view, we're going to start animation, set the offset to 20% as well. And this is what's going to turn on the shadow. So I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to duplicate my nav shadow right here. So click the 3 dots, or kebab menu. That's what I call it. And then click on duplicate. Click on nav shadow off 2. I'm going to rename it to nav shadow on. Delete that first action, and this second action right here, which is the only action, I'm just going to set the opacity to 100. So down here, set the opacity to 100. Save it, and guess what? We are done. That's it. So notice that it's hard to notice, but you don't see the drop shadow. But if I go down, the drop shadow shows up. So let's make it more apparent so you can see the work being done. So I'm going to delete the backgrounds, and there we go. So let's preview. And so notice how the drop shadow isn't there, but then it shows up. So I'm going to show you again. I'm going to, hold on. I'm going to scroll down, and there you go. You see that animation happening? And there you go. That's it. All right. Yeah, hopefully this quick tutorial helps. It really helped me when I figured out and thought, oh yeah, this is easy. So, and again, easy is relative, but hopefully you like this video. And if you do, click the like button. If you want to subscribe, do so. No pressure. But thanks again for watching. And as always, make the web beautiful together. See ya.